Would you like me to ask the question?
Yes.
Would you please briefly describe your intentions in setting up ROKPA?
My intention to setting up ROKPA is to help peoples, which mainly to Tibetans. Other is that Tibetans, those who outside of Tibet as a refuge, or that those who's inside Tibetans, which they had much difficulty due to capture a revolution. And not only the Tibetans, but since I am Buddhist, my belief is charity, to help overcome the poverties of the human existence. But in order to overcome the poverty which exists in this world, not only just giving things for the people and things what they can wear, and things what they can eat, things for the shelter, that were to only benefit for the temporary benefit, but for the long time overcome the poverty is educations. So when we talk about the education, we have to think overall global education and the humility way, education, how to use this the global world, and how to use these precious minerals, and how to use all the growth which is growing and which exists in the life, and how to coordinate this, and also that how to educate it to people in the right way, so that the everybody educated, and then one can able to overcome the poverty through the education. So my attention is the temporary problem which is solved through the charity, and the long time they solve the problem, and the human problem is the basis on education. And between that, it's order to solve that, then we need to good human existence, human body, and a healthy body, and therefore that medical side of very much required. So it's a basis on three things. The first thing is to overcome the poverty, so that everybody has the time to study and work for the others. Second thing is to everybody well educated, so the education is not just one's own benefit, but the education is global education, so everybody to work together harmonious way. And third thing is the medical side, and to everybody has good health. So those are the three my main intentions.
Rinpoche, there are already so many charities helping all over the world. They're helping people, but also including Tibetans. Why did you feel a need to establish a new organization?
I must say that all the charity is doing very valuable things, because as I'm Tibetan refugees, when we have left everything, there's nothing broad which can provide for us food or shelter when we reached in India. From morning to night, like we are like praying God. Another hand, we have to pray for charity help for what we're going to eat for today, and whatever where we can go to tomorrow, where the money can come, and who can help us is to depend on the charity. And everybody is great thankful to all the charity organizations which already established, especially like Christian and Save Children's Fund and many big Swiss or all over the world charity has been helping a great deal for the Tibetan refugees. And so that I myself include many the behalf of all the Tibetan, that I can say that 100% that we were very much appreciate. But the charities which is already exist, they don't have the second aim, which is the education side. They have the aim to solve the temporary problem. But the temporary problem can only solve for maybe 1 month or 2 months. And if your life have to becomes and depend on the charity, that you can never be happy life. So during my life, and I realize the charity is excellent, and this is something which must grow. But in another hand, the education is most important, so that one can able to looking after oneself, not to depend as like vulture waiting a cow to die, and so I have something to eat, and that cannot be a long-term help. So, and I'm myself feeling that I have to start something new organization, which has for whatever is required for the immediately, but the long-term benefit for education. We uneducated, so therefore we use all the resource of the land, and so we don't save anything. We use so much, so because due to there's not enough education. We like in Tibetan, you cut all the trees. So when you cut all the trees, you have landslide problem. You take all the minerals, you have a problem. There is nothing left for your next generation. So it's the same thing happened to every country, that you need something immediately. It doesn't really matter who will be left behind. So it's kind of a long future. We have to change, because we are no longer small place. Like before that, we can only depend our family problems. Now we have to depend the whole world, because world goes so fast.
Rinpoche, could you briefly describe your intentions in setting up ROKPA?
I already explained briefly on the beginning my intention and my wishes. ROKPA have to be something different than other charitable organization. Although that many charitable organizations, some are there entirely for education purposes, some are entirely for welfare of humans, some are to help for third world countries. But it seems to me that the whole global idea of to help everybody and wherever it's needed, and that seems to me the very broad arrangement of that funds can be used any purposes, which seems to me the charitable organization is very narrow and only can use a particular purpose. So if you have very narrow mind, and then to help is very limited, and therefore that my intention is to help to everybody from the education side, from the health side, from the mind training side, and to poverty side, whatever that sickness or whatever the other is sick by mentally or physically, and to at least we can able to release some of the problem. The solve the problem completely, that will be very difficult. The human mind has no end, a desire, and therefore to through ROKPA project solve everybody's problem, that may be impossible a task. But the ROKPA does not claim that. ROKPA only wishes to solve some kind of problem so that they can able to face much easier at the next problem, whatever the next problem they're going to be. So my intention is to mainly in humility and to help everybody wherever they exist, whatever the problem they has, and to me be able to solve something. And so that is my intention.
Could you describe the main aims of ROKPA at this present time?
Main aims for ROKPA this present time is, I know that there is many organizations which are helping to throughout all over the world. Also that to the helping Tibetan refugees a certain extent. But there is many problems between the Tibetans and other organizations because that they do not see the feelings, the emotion side of Tibetans, what they're going through, and to what kind of experience they has in the moment is difficult to people can able to understand or feel unless you're born in Tibetan and you know what Tibetans feel. So there is a very big gap, like 300 years are different Tibetan people which they born in Tibetan, and when they come out of Tibetan, then you have a short life cycle of 300 years or less, which has a big problem for many older Tibetans. And also there is quite a big misunderstanding or to unaware problem with the younger generations of Tibetan and the families of Tibetan in which they are born and to escape, into which they are living outside of Tibetan. So there is looks like that many people helping Tibetan, but another hand that nobody able to help that the emotion side of the Tibetans, what is really happening. And many people, that organizations, they had to help Tibetans, but they are kind of disappointed, and they feel that why they can't do this and why they can't do that, and why they not remain in one place, and why they want to move all the time in different parts of wherever they meant to be. But the people which are born in Tibet as nomad people, that's the way of life. They have to move in from summer, autumn, winter, spring. And when you try to restrict that, and then they feel that we are like become prisoner and we don't have freedom to move any place. There's not to freedom to think anything. So therefore, the education side of for the children is very much lacking, because the parents feel that this kind of Western education is not necessary, because that's not educated in Tibetan. The education is very much based on behaving side, and to how to take care of the earth, and how to take care of the minerals, how to take care of love and respect to humility side. And they don't think that mathematics, science, technology is not important. But the children do not think that. The children think in order to get job, we need technology, education, science. And so there is a big difference among Tibetan, older Tibetan and the younger generations of Tibetan. And therefore, my wish is to help people which to overcome this situation so that the funds can be available, so the children can be properly educated. But my own feeling that both education is very necessary. The parents' education to love and respect, to unity of family and the unity is very important. Another hand, that the modern education is very important. So therefore, my present wish is very much a basis on to correspondence of each child onto Western children or Western family. So there is a regular communication. When children is very much misunderstanding the origin of Tibetan family, and then they are very much depressed, and they don't know who to go and who to talk. And therefore that if you have Western, like second parents, which is in Western, and they can talk and communicate according to their own understanding. So that is one of the helping. Another way is to help is that if the parents do not wish to spend money, maybe they had money, but they think the money is in the wrong place to spend. And so that ROKPA will help to the child, and at the same time it will help also for the parents. The other hands to there is many older people which they don't have other relatives manage to escape, and it's a very hard situation in India because the way of life is different. The climate is different, way of thinking is different. Therefore, many older people they found it very, very difficult to face the Indian way of life, or wherever they are outside of Tibet. So therefore, to try to help them, support them through medicines or through the funds. So far that when other people look, Western people look at Tibetans quite healthy, jolly and cheerful, and outer form of picture is quite different than what is actually happening inside each Tibetan's mind. That we've been not able to understand unless you are a same situation or you are Tibetan. So therefore that inside there is very much hardship and much problems. So since I'm Tibetan and I know the Tibetan situation, therefore that my help through ROKPA or to ROKPA help to able to help them not only physical side of what they can eat, what they can wear, but to gives the comforts and happiness into the mind through the funds and through the pen friends, through the correspondence. So there is many different way of supporting for the Tibetan community. So that's what we are doing, main parts of the project in the present situation. Like example, like Tibetan parents say if you have 100 Swiss what they call francs, and older Tibetan parents and say that I have 100 francs, so I want to buy these 2 images. Yeah. Now Tibetan children, image doesn't mean anything, and I want to go to the dancing or want to buy a packet of cigarette, and wants to buy jean to something to wear, because all the other children are wearing. Then it's completely too contradictory. Yes. I mean, the parents are 300 behind. So So that's the big problem. Yes, I think behind the Tibetan for 300 has good side and bad side too. Yeah. Good side is they preserve many precious things, which the Western already lost. Now they're looking back to regain that what you lost. Is in Tibet did not lost. But in a normal or domestic problem, like everyday situation problem, Tibetan is very much behind because they don't want to move any further than what is already moved. Chinese wants to establish Western ideas like factories. This is where you sleep. This is where you send the children to school. This is your hospital. But Tibetans don't want that. Tibetan wants independent. Freedom is the main Tibetan's problem. You can get up when you want to get up. You can go to bed when you want to go to bed. If you want to make money, you make money by your own. And when somebody say you have to be this category, A category, B category, C category, they don't want that. And when they don't want that, then the Chinese are taking things away. So they built their own factory, but all the workers comes from the China, not from the Tibetan, because Tibetan don't want to work. They want to work with the animals. They want to work with the land. They want to work for themselves. They don't. The whole idea of factory is not in Tibetan's mind, not attention. They can't able to face that. Like if somebody is nomad people, it depends in a tent. Like you work like summer tent, you move, then autumn tent, winter tent, spring tent. So you move from one place to next for 3 months each time. And if you don't able to do that, you lost your freedom. And if you want to move there, you can't have a factory. You can't run factory. Yes. You can't move the hospital like building for so many places. You can't move the schools. And so therefore all the big hospitals which built maybe thousands of patients are big buildings. And like Lhasa or Yekatse is half empty. There's no patients. But patients not there does not mean there is no patients. But patients not there because they can't reach there. Because if you are moving, you may wait for two days horse journey.
Rinpoche, what is your vision for the future?
It's difficult to say. Vision can be a dream. One can dream many things. Especially, I dream great deal because throughout my life, I had good things happening for my life. I had bad things happening in my life. I've been like middle way my life. So when I look back, my life is something like 3 centuries, which have to experience one human body. And so I myself feeling much more mature than one life. And therefore that when you see like many different problems and different societies, different environment, basis on many conditions, and therefore if my big dream is to solve whole world problem, but that will be something extraordinary. It's like can be only a dream, but rather than to something which you can achieve. But on another hand, that something which in order to achieve something, you have to have a dream. And so therefore, I keep on dreaming to try to solve everybody's problem. That problem doesn't really matter what religions, what kind of colors of races, human, and which country the problem is. Long there is a problem in existence, I hope that my dream is to solve that problem wherever it exists, whether it's a rich people has a problem, whether it's poor people has a problem. For me, rich and the poor is not that my idea. The problem, whether it's physical, mentally, anybody, whoever has the problem, in any kind of form way, and hope that I am able to solve something is my dream. But when I make it my vision and for narrow down, then of course, in order to work that future plans, then I mainly to concentrate a few places. The first, which we are already doing, to paint friends and to help Tibetans. So the Tibetans has to help, and those young Tibetans have like second parents, so that they can Western paint friends. They become the brothers or sisters or parents, so that they can talk their own problems, and they can help them Tibetan people, some are older or young, and we managed to do fairly reasonable way. So I'm very thankful that those who support to the project. And the second thing is, after I went back to 3 times back to my own homeland, and from since 1983, and I found that during the Cultural Revolution time, that it has destroyed so many things, not only Tibetan, but all over the China. But especially the Tibetan was the worst, which destroyed by the Cultural Revolution, which everybody now realize that it's a tragic problem, which the destroyed did not have any benefit to anybody, just burning or broken or the damage. Many billions of pounds worth has been destroyed without any benefit to anybody. So therefore, that now that we are the Tibetans, which we think as that those who has some understanding of this situation has been very bad for the Tibetan, that we all feel that it's our duty to rebuild something and to help the Tibetans, which ain't Tibetan itself, because not only they destroyed the religion side, but the Cultural Revolution, they also to try to destroy all the culture and traditions, like even the jewelries men or women's wearing, even anything which has a kind of historical value. It doesn't have to be anything to do with Buddhism or religion. And therefore, it's destroyed so much. And we try to rebuild something, at least some places, which we may able to help. We can't be able to solve all the problems in Tibet and what is the destroyed, but we may able to help something. So we start already helping a few projects, mainly is hospitals and schools, because rural area there's no small hospitals, there's no schools. The schools is far away and the children cannot reach. due to commitment for their homes, due to commitments for their own parents. So what we realized that we can help Tibetans, which we can build small schools, small clinics or hospitals to help them. At the same time, that if you wish to help Tibetan, that you also have to help the religion side, because the religion side is blamed with every Tibetan's mind, and you can't able to throw away that what they believes. And the most important is the mind happiness. So in order to be happy, the mind, then religion is the first. It will come first. So we hope that we already started some projects which in Tibet to rebuilding few monasteries. And the next, so these are the projects. Those are 2 projects already started. And from this onwards, we hope it will grow more and more. But not only that, to looking only for the Tibetans, but then we also realize that there is many people which is much great need to our help. One's own neighbors, one's own places and territories where we stay, and there is much hardship like food and poverty. Even it's like meant to be a rich country, still there is much problem. And therefore, I'm the not person to change the law of the country, but I myself wish to help them. So to feeding for people which is already started in Glasgow, the feeding under the ROKPA project. We feed about 100 people every week, for once a week. And when we can able to raise the funds, and within next year, we hope we were able to feed 2 or 3 times a week. And the future, my hope, is to feed every day, and to not only just feeding, but to shelter for the people which is no homes to go. And not only Glasgow, but in the future that this will happen to other part of Great Britain, and maybe in the ROKPA organization which is in main office in Switzerland, and then there is a branch in Germany and Belgium, and the coordinators in Spain and to Italy, and maybe in France, and so we have a few coordinators, and therefore that we may able to solve like at least some kind of free feedings in each country, and also that my wish is through under the ROKPA project to homes for the mentally sick people, and to feeding and educations in schools, and those are my dreams for future. But how much one can able to achieve by one person one's life, that's something which you cannot say. But if one has a pure motivation, and that whatever that you are doing is entirely sincere thinking for the benefit for the people, not to thinking to way of making money and way of become very famous oneself, then I'm sure it will increase and it will go to achieve many things. Since I hope that I had the right motivation, I hope that what I'm doing is the right thing, and even those people which is to appreciate my job, and they will carry out just the same much as what I'm hoping to do. So these are the future aims and future wishes. And this cannot this cannot achieved without coordination by everybody. And so far that we have a good response, not large number of people, but a good quality. And seems to me the quality is very much important, the quantity of numbers, and many people helping Tibetans for many years now, and much benefit, much appreciate from the Tibetan point, from the Tibetan side. They are very much appreciate for the Western people being friends and helping. From many Western people that they are very much appreciated for the Tibetans. Many of them, maybe not everybody, but they have something to feeling of I'm supporting somebody, feeling of I'm educating somebody, feeling of I'm doing something which is very precious things, and to preserve the culture and the traditions of Tibetan, which is the most precious thing, which already are lost in Western country, and the Tibetans did not lost yet. And maybe by changement, and in Tibetan itself or outside of Tibetan, this were lost in some such sudden extent way, whether it's going to lose completely. But before it's lost, to able to through the Western help to this we're able to preserve somehow, and this is a very important thing. And then through the education that we are trying to educate it to all the resource which we have, and we must educate it that we must think that our future generations, our children's children. And up to now, that all the things what we done in thinking my life, myself, my time today, but not many people thought what we're going to use our grandchildren's time, what we can preserve for them, how we do not need to use everything. And this is only can able to understand through education. So through education that we can be matured, through mature that we can help our generation. So this is also my main interest in. So there is a many part of a dream, wishes to achieve something future. But how much can able to achieve, that's something which you have to wait and see, and I can't able to answer that.
I think everything is said very clearly.